football fans. Big Al here on this Sunday, October 13th, 2024. It is Football Sunday, and it's time to take a look at the updated NFL injury report after the actives and inactives were released about 45 minutes ago. We're going to start with the Jaguars and the Bears, which is really not a game right now. It is 35-16 Chicago with about 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Looks like the Bears are going to go to 4-2. Alright, so we'll start with the Jaguars. Linebacker Yasir Abdullah is questionable with a neck. Cornerback Tyson Campbell out with a hamstring. Wide receiver Gabe Davis questionable with a knee, but obviously he's playing right now, as is tight end Evan Ingram questionable with a hamstring. Running back Travis Etienne questionable with a hamstring. Safety Darnell Savage is being evaluated for a concussion, suffered in the game this morning. And safety Daniel Thomas is questionable with a hamstring. For the Chicago Bears, safety Jaquan Brisker out with a concussion. Cornerback Kyler Gordon out with a hamstring. He suffered that during the game. Tackle Taven Jenkins questionable. Questionable with an ankle. Sorry, I had to sneeze. Defensive end Jacob Martin questionable with a toe. Defensive tackle Zach Pickens is out with a groin. Cornerback Tyrell Smith out with a hip, and cornerback Tyreek Stevenson doubtful with a calf. Alright, on to the Buccaneers and the Saints. For Tampa Bay, center Graham Barton is out with a hamstring. Defensive end Ernest Brown IV, he's out as well with ribs. Tackle Luke Gadecki is questionable with a concussion. Safety Christian Eisen is out with an elbow and a groin. Wide receiver Cameron Johnson out with an ankle. Defensive tackle Kalijah Kancey questionable with a calf. Well, it looks like he's going to play today. Wide receiver Jalen McMillan is questionable with a hamstring. Wide receiver Trey Palmer is out with a concussion. Running back Rashad White is doubtful with a foot. It was just announced moments ago that he will not play. Safety Jordan Whitehead is questionable with a groin. And safety Antoine Winfield Jr. questionable with a foot, but it looks like he's going to go today. For New Orleans, quarterback Derek Carr, you know about him. He's out with an oblique. Spencer Rattler is starting. Safety Will Harris is out with a hamstring. Tight end Taysom Hill is out with a rib. Running back Kendre Miller is questionable with a hamstring. Guard Lucas Patrick questionable with a chest. Guard Cesar Ruiz out with a knee. Defensive end Peyton Turner is questionable with a knee, and linebacker Pete Werner is out with a hamstring. Colts and Titans will start with Indy. Wide receiver Josh Downs questionable with a toe. Looks like he's going to go. Cornerback Kenny Moore II is questionable with a hip and the shoulder. Wide receiver Michael Pittman questionable with a back. Looks like he'll play today alongside Downs. Quarterback Anthony Richardson is listed as questionable with an oblique, but he's listed as inactive with that oblique injury, and he will be the third string quarterback today against Tennessee. Tackle Braden Smith questionable with a knee and an ankle, and running back Jonathan Taylor is out with an ankle. For Tennessee, safety Jamal Adams is out with a hip. Defensive tackle Keandre Colburn is out with a knee. And linebacker Cedric Gray is also out with a shoulder. Texans at the Patriots. For Houston, defensive end Derek Barnett questionable with a shoulder. Defensive tackle Kirk Hennish is questionable with a calf. Cornerback Kamari Lassiter is out with a shoulder. Running back Joe Mixon questionable with an ankle, but it looks like he'll return today for the Texans. Safety Jimmy Ward is out with a groin, and wide receiver Robert Woods is out with a foot. For the Patriots, cornerback Isaiah Bolden questionable with a hamstring. Wide receiver Kendrick Bourne is questionable with a knee. Long snapper John Cardona is questionable with a calf. Safety Kyle Duggar, questionable with an ankle. Linebacker Anthony Jennings is questionable with a shoulder. Cornerback Marcus Jones is questionable with a groin. Nick Lavert is questionable with an ankle. Wide receiver KJ Osborne is questionable with a shoulder as well. Guard Layden Robinson is questionable with an ankle and a wrist. Running back Ramondre Stevenson is out with a foot. Linebacker Sion Takitaki is questionable with a knee, and cornerback Marco Wilson is questionable with a groin. Cardinals at Packers. For Arizona, you have tackle Kelvin Beachum, questionable with a hamstring. Tackle Christian Jones, questionable with an ankle. Wide receiver Zay Jones is out with a hamstring, but it is not injury related, possibly a personal matter. Kicker Matt Prater, questionable with a left knee. Defensive tackle Darius Robinson out with a calf, and cornerback Garrett Williams is questionable with a groin. For the Green Bay Packers, cornerback Jair Alexander is questionable with a groin, but he will start today. Tackle Jordan Morgan is questionable with a shoulder, same for defensive end Aaron Mosby. Tackle Rasheed Walker, questionable with a knee. Wide receiver Christian Watson, questionable with an ankle, but he is active, so he will play today. Meanwhile, defensive tackle Devontae Wyatt is out with an ankle. Browns at Eagles. We'll start with Cleveland. Running back Nick Chubb out today with a knee. Safety Grant Delpit out with a concussion. Linebacker Mohamed Diabate questionable with a hip. Safety Ronnie Hickman Jr. is out with an ankle. Linebacker Jordan Hicks is questionable with an elbow and triceps. Running back Nyheim Hines is out with a knee. Tackle James Hudson also out with a shoulder. Defensive tackle Maurice Hurst, he's questionable with an ankle. Center Ethan Pulisic is out with a knee. And cornerback Denzel Ward is questionable with a hamstring. No major injuries to talk about for Philadelphia, but 3 of their key players on offense are all back, including wide receivers A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and tackle Lane Johnson. So they're all playing today against the Browns. Commanders at Ravens. Just a few to talk about on the Washington side. Linebacker Jordan McGee is questionable with a knee. Defensive end Eric Obata is questionable with a tibia and a fibula. Safety Tyler Owens is out with a shin, and running back Brian Robinson listed as questionable with a knee, but he will not play. For the Ravens, running back Rasheen Ali is questionable with a neck. Guard Malasaya Amwave Leafu something. He's questionable with a back. Struggled with that name. Sorry about that. Wide receiver Deontay Hardy is questionable with a knee. Linebacker Malik Harrison is out with a groin. Cornerback Marlon Humphrey is questionable with an ankle, but he'll be playing today against the Commanders. Cornerback Arthur Molloy is out with a knee and a hamstring. Tackle Ronnie Stanley questionable with a toe. He'll play today. Defensive end Roderick Washington is out with a knee. On to the late game, starting with the Chargers and Broncos. For LA, defensive end Joey Bosa is questionable with a hip. Running back Gus Edwards is out with an ankle. Cornerback Christian Fulton is questionable with a knee. Cornerback Dean Leonard is questionable with a hamstring. Linebacker Nick Neiman is questionable with a hamstring. Quarterback Asante Samuel Jr. is out with a shoulder. Tackle Rashawn Slater, questionable with a pectoral. And cornerback Jasir Taylor, out with a fibula. And for the Denver Broncos, you have running back Audric Estime, questionable with an ankle. Cornerback Damari Mathis, he's questionable with an ankle. Tackle Alex Plasluski and center Luke Wattenberg are both out with ankle injuries, and wide receiver Josh Reynolds is out with a hand injury. Steelers and Raiders. A lot of players out for Pittsburgh today. Linebacker Nick Herbig is out with a hamstring. Linebacker Alex Highsmith is out with a groin. Center DeMonte Kazee is out with an ankle. Defensive end Marvin Leal is out with a neck. Running back Cordell Patterson is out with an ankle. Tight end Michael Pruitt is out with a knee. And running back Jaylen Warren is questionable with a knee. Russell Wilson's listed on the injury report, but looks like he's going to start ahead of Justin Fields. For the Raiders, wide receiver Davante Adams. A lot of talk about him in the news lately. He's out with a hamstring. Linebacker Tommy Eichenberg is questionable with a hamstring. Tight end Michael Mayer is out for a personal matter, not injury related. Wide receiver Jacoby Myers, questionable with an ankle. Tackle Thayer Munford Jr., questionable with a knee and an ankle. Guard Jackson Powers Johnson is questionable with a knee. Likewise for safety Trey Taylor. And running back Zamir White is questionable with a groin. Lions at Cowboys, only one name to talk about for Detroit, and that's guard Christian Mahogany. He is out due to illness. But other than that, the Lions are relatively healthy. As for Dallas, you've got cornerback Deron Bland, questionable with a foot, but he might play this afternoon. Cornerback Kalen Carson is questionable with a shoulder. Linebacker Eric Kendricks is out with a calf and a shoulder. Defensive end Micah Parsons is out with an ankle, and linebacker Nick Vigil is questionable with a foot. Falcons at Panthers, starting with Atlanta. Linebacker Troy Anderson out with a knee. And linebacker Nate Landman questionable with both a calf and a quadricep. For the Carolina Panthers, linebacker Jadeveon Clowney is doubtful with a shoulder. Center Austin Corbett is out with a biceps injury. Cornerback Dane Jackson, questionable with a hamstring. Linebacker Josie Jewell is out with both a hamstring and a groin. Wide receiver Deontay Johnson is questionable with an ankle, but he may play. Tackle Taylor Moton is out with an elbow. Center Andrew Ryan is out with a concussion. Defensive end A'Shawn Robinson is questionable with an ankle. Tight end Ian Thomas is questionable with a calf. And tight end Tommy Tremble is out with a concussion. Bengals and Giants on Sunday Night Football. We'll start with the Cincinnati Bengals. Running back Chase Brown is questionable with a quadricep. Cornerback Mike Hilton, questionable with a knee. Cornerback DJ Ivy is doubtful with a knee for the Bengals. And for the New York Giants, wide receiver Bryce Ford Wheaton is questionable with a shoulder. Punter Jamie Gillen is questionable with a left hamstring. Wide receiver Malik Neighbors is out for a second straight game due to a concussion. Running back Devin Singletary questionable with a groin, but it looks like he won't play tonight. And linebacker Kayvon Thibodeau has been placed on IR. He's out with a wrist. And tomorrow night for the Bills and Jets, starting with Buffalo. Running back James Cook questionable with a toe. It's 50-50 whether he plays on Monday. Running back Darrington Evans is out with a hamstring. Defensive tackle Austin Johnson questionable with an oblique. Cornerback Teron Johnson, questionable with a forearm. Defensive tackle Ed Oliver out once again with a hamstring. And wide receiver Khalil Shakir is questionable with an ankle. And for the Jets, cornerback Michael Carter II is out with a back. Tight end Tyler Conklin questionable with a hip. And linebacker CJ Mosley is questionable with a toe. And that is a look at the Week 6 injury report going into the early games here in about 30 minutes. We'll be back right here tomorrow with a look at the latest college football rankings. And there's a little bit of a shakeup near the top with Ohio State losing to Oregon. I will dive into all those details with you tomorrow. Like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell and get notified every time I go live. Big Al signing off. Thanks for watching and enjoy the pigskin. Peace out.